Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I'm Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio, and it is happening. Shedeur Sanders is making his first start in the NFL. Last week, he had to come into the game for Dylan Gabriel, got a concussion, and it was a disastrous performance. Went 4 for 16 for 27 yards. The Browns lost to the Ravens. 23-16. Right now, they're at 2-8, taking on the Raiders, who are also 2-8. So you got a battle of 2-8 teams in Vegas this week, and it should be an interesting game with Shedeur Sanders getting his first start. And what do you expect from him? I think he's going to struggle. Because he did not look prepared at all to start a game last week against the Ravens. He was terrible. 4 for 16 in the NFL. That is awful. He definitely looked like a fifth-round pick last week when he came into the game for Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, he definitely did. And, I know they said he didn't take any first-team reps, but how much can 1 week of practice do to really get you on the same page with your receivers? So, yeah, especially for a kid that's kind of young and it's still rookie. This is one of the better defense to go up against in your first start at least. But, yeah, I'm not expecting a ton. There's a reason why he wasn't getting the shot above Gabriel yet. Like, if he was really, they see him in practice every day. If they really thought he was better than Gabriel, he would have started 3 weeks ago. But he hasn't been, and you saw on Sunday. So yeah, I'm not expecting a ton, and I'm expecting a very ugly football game.
Yeah, and you're right. You're right about that. You hit the nail on the head. What we saw on Sunday. That's why Kevin Stefanski knew not to start him. Kevin Stefanski, yeah, he's in practice. Yeah, he might get fired at the end of the year, but one thing he does know is he knows who's in practice. He's in practice every day. He knows who the quarterback should be. And if you watch that game between the Browns and Ravens on Sunday, it was obvious that Dylan Gabriel right now is a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. It couldn't be more obvious.
Yeah, definitely, and so that's why he's been the backup, and that's why he wasn't getting the opportunity to get above Gabriel right now. So yeah, showed. And look, we're down to practice every day. I don't know, maybe he's grown up a little bit, but that when he's in London, he had that horrible quote a couple the maturity thing. It's always been a question with him, and teams really didn't want to take the chance on him. So he's kind of got himself to trying to prove himself that he can stick around in this league and maybe be the guy for the Browns, but I'm not banking on that because he had some talent coming out of college, and it was the character issues that had him kind of fall to the 5th round, and we wanted to deal with it.
Yeah, it looks like the character issues. It looks like things have continued. Looks like things have continued for him in the NFL because he just did not look prepared at all for that stuff. He was bad. He was really, really bad. Through an interception, going 4 for 16. He was so bad. And going into the game, I think it's going to be an ugly game on Sunday between these two teams. These are two struggling teams. But it's crazy to say you got to take taking Geno Smith taking Geno Smith as the better quarterback, but you got to in this game. You got to take Geno Smith. I think Max Crosby's going to make plays, force Shedeur to turn the ball over. I think this is an ugly, ugly game. But I think the Raiders are going to win this, and they're going to win it ugly. I think I got the Raiders here 16-10 over the Browns. But Justin, can Shedeur Sanders win his first start as an NFL QB?
I don't think so. I got the Raiders 13-10. Yeah, this would be an ugly football game. I think Max Crosby and Myles Garrett could both combine, both have 4 or 5 sacks individually in this game. I think both those guys could be game records in this one. I'm not expecting much from either offense, but yeah, Geno's been awful. He's tied with the NFL lead with 13 interceptions. He'll probably have one in this one, but yeah, I have to take Geno Smith over Shedeur Sanders. So I'll take the Raiders to sneak one out against Cleveland.
Yeah, you got it. It's going to be a rough day for Shedeur. I expect a very, very rough day for Shedeur Sanders on Sunday. I don't think he's going to have a big week against the Browns. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think the Raiders win and the Browns fall to 2-9 on the season. Now we'll move on to the game tomorrow night between the Bills and the Texans. And C.J. Stroud is still in concussion protocol, so Davis Mills will get the start, which means I think that the Texans offense is going to struggle like it did last week. I think it's going to struggle. I think the Bills contain their running game. I think they get pressure on him. They force a turnover or two from him. But I do think the Texans defense keeps them in the game. I think they stop Dalvin Cook. But I do think when you got Davis Mills against Josh Allen, how do you pick against Josh Allen in this spot? How do you do it? That's why I'm going Bills here. I'm going Bills 20-13 over the Texans. But Justin, can the Texans defense carry them to their 3rd straight win?
I do have the Texans. I was thinking that Stroud was going to play, but I'll stick with the Texans here. Because I have Texans 2018 here.
Wow.
For me, I've been saying it like a couple weeks. I just don't love this Bills team. I know they actually did a pretty good job last week. They kind of felt like they unleashed Josh Allen with the passing attack. But the last couple of times we've seen the Bills on the road, outside of like that Panther game where they had an extra week, they've looked abysmal and they haven't been able to stop the run. I know the Texans don't have a great rushing attack, but I think it's this Bills defense. They'll have some success on the ground, and I think they keep the ball at Josh Allen's hands, and I think they control the ball for 35-ish minutes in this game, and I think they take down the Bills on a short week. You know, they their offense looked good last week, but I think the Texans defense just keeps them in it, and Davis Mills does enough in this one.
You've talked about the Bills' road struggles. I mean, the game against Atlanta, the game against Miami, they definitely have struggled on the road this year. I mean, they definitely have. You're definitely right about that. The Bills' road struggles. They've definitely struggled. They did beat up on Carolina though one game. They crushed Carolina, but yeah, I mean the Falcon game, the Miami game, two of the last three road games, the Bills have struggled. But again, I don't see Josh Allen losing to Davis Mills. I just don't. I think the game will be close. But if C.J. Stroud was played in this game, there's a very good chance I would have picked the Texans here. But I just can't. I can't pick Houston. I can't pick Davis Mills to win a game against Josh Allen. I just can't do that. I think the Bills obviously have the major quarterback advantage in the game. That's why I'm going. That's why I'm going Bills here.
Yeah, no, and I get that, and yeah, Mills versus Allen. Yeah, it's definitely a huge mismatch here. But look, I just like the way the Texans defense has been playing, and if the Bills can kind of keep Josh Allen in check, holding him a couple field goals and Davis Mills in that rushing attack, which I think is going to have a pretty good game because anybody can run on the Buffalo Bills. So, like, even though the Texans don't have a great rushing attack, I still feel like in this game, the Texans are going to have some success running the football. So, and I think if you chew up the clock, keep the ball away from Josh Allen, I think that's a recipe for success for Houston, and you're at home in a short week. So, I'll take the chance here with Houston. And yeah, and you mentioned like the one road game the Bills looked great at in the last couple was against the Panthers, where they needed 2 weeks, and a Panther team that you just never know what the heck you're gonna get out of them week in and week out, and you got a horrible week out there from Carolina. So, I do like so I'm gonna take the shot with the Texans.
Why? You're taking the gamble there. You're going with Houston. You're going with Houston. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting. But I got the Bills here. I think the Bills keep pace with the Patriots in the AFC East. You got the Bills probably falling further behind the Patriots. So we'll see here. We'll see what ends up happening here between those two teams. But we got a big matchup in the AFC between the Colts and the Chiefs. Colts come in at 8-2. Chiefs come in at 5-5. So very interesting matchup between these two teams, and I think this game is going to be close and competitive. And Chiefs have lost a lot of close games. They've lost a lot of close games this year. But at the end of the day, I think the Chiefs are going to win this. I think the Chiefs are going to win this because I think Patrick Mahomes is going to outplay Daniel Jones. I think they're going to contain Jonathan Taylor. Daniel Jones, you saw in the last game the Colts won. He turned the ball over a couple times. I think it's the same here. I know the Colts have the better roster, but I'm going to go with. I just don't think Mahomes is going to lose. I don't think Mahomes is going to fall to 5-6. I just don't see Mahomes falling to 5-6. That's why I got the Chiefs here. I think he throws a couple touchdown passes. He plays a pretty good game, and I think the Chiefs defense forces a couple turnovers from Daniel Jones. That's why I got the Chiefs here, 24-20 over the Colts. But Justin, can Daniel Jones lead the Colts to a 9-2 start?
No, I'm with you. I got KC 24-18. Yeah, this is pretty much a desperation spot now for Kansas City. I know the Colts are coming off the bye here. You mentioned Daniel Jones and the turnovers his last couple starts. Yeah, he's got 7 giveaways his last 2 starts, and I expect that Chiefs defense to force a couple in this one. I don't totally trust him in this Daniel Jones in a big spot yet, and I think the Chiefs do enough in this one just to slow down Jonathan Taylor. I don't think you full out stop him, but I think they slow him down. I think Chiefs defense plays well enough in this one, and Mahomes bounces back after a rough one kind of last week, and Chiefs got to win at home.
So we see where the Chiefs are in the AFC after last week's loss. 0-5 in one-score games, 5-5. They're the number 9 seed currently in the AFC. And the big question is, when you're talking about the Chiefs, is do they have a better chance to make or miss the playoffs? And I'm going to say make. I'm still going to say make the playoffs. So I look at their remaining schedule. I know it's tough because they still got the Colts, they got the Chargers, they got the Colts, the Chargers, the Texans, the Broncos, but all those, and they got the Cowboys, but most of those games are at home. Most of those games were at home. And the Chiefs have been pretty good at home pretty good at home this year. I think the only game they lost at home was the Eagles game in week 2. So the Chiefs have been pretty good at home this year. I think they make a run here. I think they make a run. I think a lot of people think they might miss the playoffs. I don't. I think they make it. I think they do. I think there's a better chance they make the playoffs because a lot of their big games coming up are at home, and it's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They've been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. I just don't think they miss the playoffs. So I think there's a better chance the Chiefs make the playoffs than miss the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think the Chiefs will make the playoffs. Yeah, you know, the schedule kind of softens up here. They got some of the bigger games at home, and the teams in front of them, you know, the Texans, you know, right now without Stroud, their offense has kind of been very hit or miss. You got Jacksonville, which played well last week, but you know, then blew a 29-point lead or 19-point lead in the fourth quarter to Houston. The Chargers are really banged up right now too. I know behind you got the Ravens, so like, and like the other teams behind outside of Baltimore, who else is making a run? Because at this point, if the Bengals lose this week and the Patriots, there's no chance that Joe Burrow's to be playing. Like the Bengals aren't making that run. So yeah, I think the Chiefs are gonna get ahead of one of the couple teams there up in the wild card. So I'm with you. I think the Chiefs will find a way to make the playoffs. I don't have much concern at all that they're gonna miss.
Yeah, you look at the teams in front of them. The 2 teams in front of them are Jacksonville and Houston. And then you look at another team in front of them, the Chargers. They still get them at home, and the Chargers, who looked terrible last week, don't have their 2 starting tackles. So yeah, I definitely think they have a better chance of making the playoffs. And as I said earlier, all their big games now are at home. Most of their big games, outside of maybe the Dallas game on Thanksgiving, are at home. This week against Indy, Chargers in a couple weeks, Texans on Sunday Night Football, and then the Bronco game on Christmas Day. All of them are at home. And again, they've only lost 1 game at home the entire season. That was to Philadelphia in week 2. So I definitely think they have a better chance to make the playoffs than miss the playoffs. But the next question is about these, and it's about both these teams, the Colts and the Chiefs. Which one of these teams has a better run of making which team has a better chance of making a run in the playoffs? And I'm gonna go with still gonna go with the Chiefs. I'm still gonna go with the Chiefs for one simple reason. One very simple reason. Patrick Mahomes, Daniel Jones. I trust Patrick Mahomes a lot more than I trust Daniel Jones. Now, do the Colts have a better roster? Yes. But I just trust Patrick Mahomes more. That's why even though the Chiefs are 5-5 and the Colts are 8-2, I still think the Chiefs have a better chance of making a run in the playoffs than the Colts do. Pretty much because of the quarterback position.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got the Chiefs as well here. Yeah, you can't bet against the Chiefs at all. Like as a Patriot fan, I want the Patriots to stay out of that 2 or 3 spots. I don't want Kansas City coming to Foxborough because Kansas City's probably gonna be a favorite. You know, like against they'd even be probably favorite against the Colts if they're like a 2 and Chiefs are 7 in the playoffs. So I'm with you. I think it's the Chiefs, and yeah, like I just don't trust Daniel Jones yet in these spots, and like and something too, like last week with Seattle, the way they played defensively, yeah, like I'm in on Seattle, but I know Sam Darnold's not great, but I could trust that defense. I don't know if I could trust that Colts defense to bail out Daniel Jones if he makes 3 or 4 turnovers. I'm not there yet, so I'm with you. I can't bet against this Chiefs team yet, and in the AFC, like I think we can be honest here too. Whoever comes out of the NFC is winning the Super Bowl. I don't think it's coming from that AFC team this year. Like I don't think
you got a good point. You got a good point because you look at the NFC, and we'll talk about the NFC. You got teams like the Rams. Seattle's the quarterback's a question for the way he played on Sunday, but Seattle's a good team. But then and the defense is really good. You still got the Eagles, the defending champions in the NFC. You still got the defending
Bucks
champs.
Can get healthy.
If the Bucks can get healthy, even if the problem with the Lions is they're just so bad in cold weather. But you still have the Lions. That's a really good roster. You still got the Packers. Don't forget about the Packers too, with Micah Parsons. So that's a good point. Because you look at the AFC. The big teams are all down this year. The Bills, I think, are down. Even though I picked them to win the Super Bowl, I can't completely agree with what you're saying because I'm still sticking with the Bills because of Josh Allen. But I get what you're saying. They're down. The Bills are down this year. The Chiefs are obviously down. The Ravens are down. So that's a really good point you made. The NFC champion whoever comes out of the NFC has a great chance to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and that's why I think the Chiefs can go on a run because there's not that Eagles team, there's not that Seattle Rams team where Kansas City can go up against. Kansas City's still the big bad Chiefs, and look, I know the Broncos beat them last week. It was ugly. But one thing about Bo Nix is he might be bad for 3 quarters. He does show up when it matters in the fourth.
Yeah, that's the thing about
But
Bo Nix. He always shows up in the fourth. He shows up in the fourth quarter. He's bad in the first half
yeah,
of games, but he
yeah,
always shows up in the clutch for some. He's great in the clutch. I'll give
he
him that.
does. Yeah, but in January going up against Mahomes, you might have to wake up before the fourth quarter to have a chance. So like even with
Exactly.
that Broncos team, I'm still I don't know. I have to see more from Bo Nix. So I'm with you. So like I that's why I still just feel like the Chiefs have the best chance out of the two to make a run.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Even though with their 5-5 record, even though they're the number 9 seed in the AFC right now, I would still think they have a better chance of making a run than the Colts. I would still think that. I definitely would still think that. Now we will move to the NFC and we'll start with a matchup in the NFC East as the 8-2 Eagles will head down to Dallas to face the 4-5-1 Cowboys. Cowboys got a good win last week. Quentin Williams looked really good, getting a sack and a half in that game. And I'm going to go with an upset here. I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I'm going with the Cowboys because they very easily could have beat them in Philadelphia if CD Lamb catches that ball late in the game. Very easily could have beat them in Philly. Philly's going to have Lane Johnson out for a while. I think Quentin Williams made a he makes this. Now, it's not Dallas doesn't have a good. It's not a good defense, but the defense is definitely improved with Quentin Williams. He showed his presence. I know it was the Raiders, but he showed his presence last week with a sack and a half. I think he is. I think it's another pretty good game. I think in the run game. I think he shuts down the run. I think Dallas gets some pressure on Hurts, forces a mistake. This Eagles offense has struggled. This Eagles offense has, outside of that Giant game in week 8, this Eagles offense has struggled. They're just not as good this year. And I think that Dallas, I think they don't light up the scoreboard, but I think they do enough offensively. I think Dak Prescott throws a couple touchdown passes. I'm going with the upset here. I think Brandon Aubrey kicks a game-winning field goal. I think it comes down to Aubrey kicking a game-winning field goal, and I think they do. I'm going with the upset here. I'm going with the Cowboys to upset the Eagles 23-20 in Dallas. And the Cowboys, they play the Eagles well in Dallas. They do. I mean, I can't even remember the last time the Eagles beat the Cowboys. I think the last time Dak started a game and the Eagles beat the Cowboys in Dallas was 2017, the year they won their first Super Bowl. I think I think that's the last time that the Eagles won a game in Dallas. I know they won last year, but Dak didn't start. But to me, the last time the Eagles won a game in Dallas that Dak started was 2017 on Sunday Night Football. So I'm going Eagles here. I'm going Cowboys here. I'm going Cowboys in the upset. I got the Cowboys beating the Eagles 23-20. But Justin, can the Eagles sweep the Cowboys and keep the top seed in the NFC?
Yeah, I have the Eagles 22-14. I see what you're pointing because the Eagles offense right now is a mess. I really like the way Dallas defense looked, but yes, it's the Raiders. I think for the Dallas defense, for the future looks better. I don't know if it's going to help much this year, but I think for down the line it's going to help. But the way the Eagles defense is playing too, they've been awesome. You can't run up the middle, and that's a Lion team last week that prides themselves on physicality, and the Eagles just took it from them. And Detroit couldn't do anything. They didn't get really much on the ground game at all. So I'm going to take the Eagles because I just think their defense is so elite right now. It's playing at such a high level. And I do think Dak's going to struggle a bit in this one. And, I think Dallas' defense is getting better as well. I'm with you. And I think they played well. And Jalen Phillips, too, for the Eagles has made a difference as well. And for the Cowboys here, it's first of 3 big tests coming up. It's the first time a team's ever had to play 3 straight games against a team from the prior year that at least 14 regular season wins. So big 3-week stretch coming up here for the Cowboys. But I got the Eagles going down there. But yeah, if the Eagles offense doesn't wake up, I wouldn't be shocked if the Cowboys knock them off here.
Yeah, you made a good point about the Cowboys. Big 3-week stretch. You got the Eagles, you got the Chiefs, and you got the Lions. That's a big 3-week stretch. And for Dallas, I think if they want to be a playoff team, they want to be in the conversation to get a wild card. They got to win 2 out of those 3 games. To me, they got to win 2 out of the 3. They're 4-5-1. They got to be at minimum 6-6-1 because they're 5-7-1. They're gonna have a hard time. They're gonna have a hard time making the playoffs. So I think they got to be 6-6. They got to win 2 out of these 3 games. They got to get 2 out of these 3. These games against the Eagles, Chiefs, and Lions, they got to get 2 out of the 3 for me to be in the wild card race. after week 13. After week 14, I mean, they got to win 2 of these 3 games. Dallas has to. So that's a really good. That's yeah. I mean, this is a huge stretch for Dallas and Philly. Yeah, their defense has played really well. I'll give them that. Their defense has played. It's played all right. Probably the last 2-3 weeks. It's been one of the best defenses in the league. Yeah, the Jalen Phillips getting Nolan Smith back. It's definitely helped that defense. You can't run up the middle against it. Yeah, I get it. But I think offensively, it's just still been it's just been out of sync all year offensively. It's just been out of sync all year. Saquon hasn't been as good. Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. This is a real thing. I think this is AJ Brown's last year with the Eagles. I mean, this passing game is just out of sync. So and that's why I think Dallas comes in there and beats them. I really do. I think this is an upset. This is an upset on Sunday. I really do. I think with Quentin Williams makes the defense a little bit better for the Cowboys. I don't think the Eagles will do enough on the ground. And Dallas is going to score points. They're going to score points, and I think they do win this game. I think they do. And I know the first matchup, Jalen Carter got ejected from the game. So, but I think Dallas is going to do it in the pass game. They're going to do it in the pass game. They're going to do it that way. So, I think Dallas wins a close one here. But you are right about the Eagles. Their defense has played really, really well, and there's a good chance they could carry them. They could carry them in another game like they have the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, they absolutely could the way they're playing. Yeah, they've been tough to move the ball against, and yeah, if they continue, the way they're playing. I know that offense is right now is a mess, and yeah, I think Lane Johnson's is a huge missing piece right now. But that Eagles team could still make a run, and I can't totally count them out just because of how good that defense has been of late. So yeah, I know it's a mess, and maybe this is a week where they get going, even though it's a Dallas defense that I do think it's a little bit better. But I think that all could capitalize off of a turnover or two from Dak in this one. And Dak Prescott's playing great. I just think the way this Eagles defense is playing on a short week, I'm gonna take that Eagles defense to be the difference in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that no, I don't agree. I think that Dallas. I think that Dak Prescott wins, but I can see where you're coming from with the Eagles defense. I can see where you're coming from. I just think that the Eagle offense, especially without Lane Johnson, I think they're going to struggle here. And don't forget, they do struggle in Dallas. They struggle in Dallas. The last time they won in Dallas was in 2017. That was the last time they won in Dallas. A Dak start in Dallas. Now they won last year, but Dak didn't start. So the last time they won a Dak start in Dallas was 2017. Dak usually plays pretty well against the Eagles. So I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm going to go with the Cowboys to upset the Eagles. But you got the Eagles. You got the Eagles going to 9-2. I got them going to 8-3, and I got the Cowboys going to 5-5-1. You got them going to 4-6-1. Now I'll move on to the Sunday night game between the Bucks and the Rams. And I think this will be a competitive game, but I think the team with the better quarterback and the quarterback that could very easily win the MVP and Matthew Stafford. I think he bounces back this week. He has a big week against the Bucks. I think he throws 2 or 3 touchdown passes. I think Kyren Williams is a pretty good game. I think Baker will fight, but in the end, I think the better team will win here, and that's why I get the Rams here. I get the Rams beating the Bucks 31-23. But Justin, can Baker Mayfield help the Bucks snap their 2-game losing streak?
No, I got the Rams in this one, 31-20. I'm not sure how the Bucks are gonna get many stops in this game. You could tell the last 2 weeks here, these injuries are really starting to affect Tampa Bay, and at some point they got to get a couple of these guys back. And even Baker last couple of weeks hasn't totally looked great either. And I think in this one, I know that Rams offense kind of struggled last week. They should have, the defense forced them 4 turnovers. They still only won by 2 points, but I think Stafford plays pretty well this week. I think that rushing attack gets going. I think they get some big plays through the air. I just don't know how Tampa Bay gets many stops this week. So I think Stafford plays really well, and LA wins this game by 2 scores.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for the Bucks. It's going to be a really tough one for the Bucks. Going on the road, having to face a Rams team that's playing. I know their offense struggled, but they faced a really good Seattle defense. They got a big win last week. So yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game for the Bucks, and I think the Rams come out victorious. But now the big question is: you got the Eagles 8-2, you got the Rams 8-2. Which team right now? I know the Eagles got the number 1 seed because they beat the Rams head-to-head in Week 3. But which team is the best team in the NFC right now? The Rams or the Eagles? I know the Eagles defense is better than the Rams defense, but I'm gonna go with the Rams because of their offense. I'll take the Rams offense. I think they run the football better. I think with Lane Johnson out, their offensive line is as good or better. And I think Matthew Stafford has played better than Jalen Hurts this year. So it's close, but I'm going Rams here. I'm going Rams because I just don't think the Eagles are just not not as good offensively as they were a year ago. They're not as good offensively. Their defense is, especially with the additions, is as good, but offensively, I just don't think they're as good. So that's why I'm going to go with the Rams. I think right now, even though the Eagles are the defending champs and they have the number one seed, I'm going to go with the Rams as the best team in the NFC. And I picked the Eagles before the season to go to the Super Bowl, but right now, I'm going to go with the Rams as the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, I got the Rams as well. The way Stafford's played this year, Devontae Adams made a huge difference this year with in the red zone for him. Where I know they struggled last year. The defense is phenomenal. They get after the quarterback really, really well, and they made Darnold force or throw 4 interceptions last week. So I really like the way this Rams team's playing, and they should have beat the Eagles too. What week was week 3 or week 4 when they played?
Week three,
They
week three.
blew that one.
Yeah, they're up 20. They're up
Yeah,
26 to
like
7.
the special teams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're up 26-7 in that game.
Yeah, they were. So I think, I think the Rams should, knock them off and even go in the Lincoln Financial and knock them off. So yeah, and I'm with the Eagles right now. Just the offense just hasn't looked good, and they really look like they missed Kellen Moore. Because some of the off play calling just hasn't been great this year, I feel like. So yeah, you mentioned the AJ Brown stuff, all that going around. And I just don't think Jalen Hurts has played that well, and I don't know if it's like an injury or what, but he hasn't looked totally right this year. So I like this Rams team, even though a little bit older. I really like the way the Rams are playing.
Yeah, I think the Rams right now should be the favorite to go to Santa Clara and play in the Super Bowl this season. I think the Rams should be the favorite to do that. But we'll move on to the AFC, and we'll start with the Patriots. And we got the Patriots heading to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals this week. And I think with Jamar Chase out, with Joe Flacco starting, and the Bengals defense seeing how bad they are, I think the Patriots scored 30 points. I think Travion Henderson has a big game. I think Drake May has a big game. I think the Pats defense forced a couple turnovers from Joe Flacco because they're not going to give up it right. The Patriots, they've been consistent. What they've done consistently this year is stop the run, and I don't think they're going to give a bunch of rushing yards from Chase Brown. I don't think they're doing that. I think they forced a couple turnovers from Flacco, and I think the Pats win. I got them winning by double digits. I got the Pats winning it 31-20. And Justin, can the Pats keep this winning streak going? Can they win their 9th in a row? I think they got a good chance to, and I assume you think they do as well.
Yeah, they should. They should get it to 9 straight. I got the Pats 28-17 in this one. All Pittsburgh pretty much did last week when Rudolph came in was just dump it off to Kenneth Gainwell. Cincinnati just could not tackle him and could not slow him down. So that's all the Patriots really need to do this week. That rushing attack should be good. Sounds like Stevenson's going to be back this week, and it sounds like they're going to share him and Henderson to share the workload.
Listen, they shouldn't be sharing the workload. That's Travion Henderson's job. He won that job. They shouldn't be sharing the work. He shouldn't be sharing the workload with Rondre Stevenson. You're the number 2 running back. Travion Henderson, you're the number 1 running back. He won that job. To me, he had 3 touchdowns last week. He's won the job.
Yeah, he should. He's had 5 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. I don't mind Stevenson. It's the fumbles that always kind of worry me with him, but they really found something the last couple of weeks with Henderson. So yeah, I think Henderson gave the bulk of the carries, but it sounds like it's going to be split. But I do agree Henderson should get majority of it. And I think it's going to help the Pats too that Trey Henderson's doubtful in this one. No excuses to kind of lose this game, with Jamar Chase being suspended. Pats should take care of business. And yeah, Joe Flacco and that offense to be one-dimensional because nobody's been able to run the ball in the past. And I can't see the Cincinnati team being able to do it. So I like the Patriots here to win their 9th in a row. May should look outstanding too against this defense.
Yeah, Patriots are in a good spot. They should win 10 in a row going to the bye. There's no reason why they should not go into the bye week winning 10 in a row. Now it gets tough after the bye because they got to face Buffalo. It's a huge game against Buffalo, and then they got to go to Baltimore. They got the Ravens after that. So it's going to get tough after the bye. But to me, there's no reason at all the Patriots shouldn't be seeing the guys who are going to be out for Cincinnati this week, seeing that Hendrickson's out, seeing that Chase is out, seeing that the Bengals are playing with their backup quarterback. To me, there's no reason at all why the Patriots should not be to win. And seeing the state of the Giants right now, to me, there's no reason at all why the Patriots should not be 11-2 after their bye week.
No, absolutely not. They should be 11-2.
I mean going into the bye week. I meant going into the bye week.
Yeah, going the bye, they should be sitting there 11-2, feeling great about playing Buffalo. And yeah, Vrabel's done a fantastic job, and this Cincinnati team they should be. And Giants, I am worried a little bit about the Giants on Monday night, depending on who the quarterback is.
It's gonna be dark. It's gonna be dark.
Yeah, we're a little bit
And
then.
I'll actually be
I
I'll
know.
actually I'll actually be at that game.
Are you going?
Yeah,
Are you going?
I got tickets in September. Yeah,
Nice. Where are
yeah.
you sitting for that?
316, section 316.
Okay. Nice. Nice. So, hopefully the Giants keep it close for you then. But, yeah, I am getting annoyed though that people are kind of like this Patriots team's only good because of schedule. It's like, look, I could see why if they were pulling out these games by like 3 points, but for most of these games, they've been kind of blowing teams out, and they've gone to Tampa and win. They've gone to Buffalo and win. They have 3 wins, or you know, yeah, I think they got 3 or 4 wins against teams over 500. I know it's not great, but look, they're playing better. Like the Bills have, I think the Bills have 1 or 2 this year. The Bears have one, and the Bears is everybody's darling right now. They have
I
one.
know, I know,
All
I know,
right, so
I know. I mean, yeah, New England's not getting enough credit to me. As far as I'm concerned, not getting enough credit.
yeah,
I mean, and let me tell you, Mike Vrabel's established himself a lot more of a head coach than Ben Johnson has. So, yeah, I mean, listen, yeah, the Pats, yeah, they're a really good team. They're a really good team. They got a good defense, as you said. No one can run on them. Drake May's played MVP level football. The offensive line has improved. Stephon Diggs has been good. They've been able to run the football with Travion Henderson. So yeah, I'm tired. Yeah, and look at the way they beat they beat up on the Titans. They beat up on the Browns.
the
They beat those
Browns.
teams convincingly. So I don't know why people are. They beat up on the Panthers. They had 3 wins by like, you know, 3 scores against some of these teams. So they're beating these teams convincingly. They're clearly a Super Bowl contender. I don't get what people are talking about. Oh, their schedule's easy. You got to play who's on the schedule. And Drake May's playing MVP level football. So this team, I don't feel like this team is just not, honestly, not getting enough respect. They're not now. I still say the Bills are the favorite to win the division, but I think the Patriots have a very good chance to win this division from seeing where they are. So yeah, I don't think they're getting the respect that they should be getting. I think they continue to prove it this week and they win their ninth in a row.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I agree. They're not getting enough respect. They should win 9 in a row. And I'm not saying they should be Super Bowl favorite or anything, but they should be having more respect. And the way that Drake May's playing has been unbelievable. So yeah, they've been beating up on the bad competition, and they should do it again this week against a Cincinnati team that's bad. And without Joe Burrow in there, they should win. Yeah, they're ninth in a row here. Now how they lose the Raiders, I don't know, but you know, um, they'd sit even more prettier right now if they somehow won that game. So, but yeah, Patriots, again beat up on bad competition this weekend. Head in that Monday night with hoping to go 11-2 before bye.
Yeah, we'll see what. Yeah, heading to that Monday night game against the Giants. Should be heading to that Monday night game against the Giants at 10-2. But now we'll move on to the Giants, and yeah, they were competitive last week, but the beat went on. We were competitive, but the beat went on for them. They lost another close game last week. But again, just the off the field stuff continues for the Giants. Abdul Carter falling asleep in a meeting, now denying he falls asleep. Then goes to Monday Night Raw. What the heck is Cam Scadaboo and Abdul Carter doing? This is why they need to clean house completely. Get rid of everyone from this organization. They need to clean house completely. Joe Shane shouldn't be here. Mike Kafka absolutely should not get the head coaching job. They need to clean house completely clean house. There's no veteran leadership on this team. Where are the veterans telling these guys not to be, fooling around at Monday Night Raw, telling Cam Scadaboo and Abdul Carter not to be fooling around at Monday Night Raw? It's just an absolute disaster. It's an absolute disaster. And this franchise just can't get anything right. They just can't. They just can't get anything right. And for this game in Detroit, this is a perfect matchup for the Lions. The Giants don't stop the run well. The Lions, this just smells. This game just it's gonna be the Lions winning big because the Giants don't stop the run well, and when the Lions run for over 100 yards, they're 6-0. They're 6-0. The Lions at home in their home games, they've scored over 30 points. I think like 3 times. But usually when they run the ball well, they score over 30 points. I think in 5 of those 6 wins, they've scored over 30 points. And I just think that's going to be no different this week. It's going to be no different for the Giants this week. They're not going to be able to stop the run game. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a huge game. I think Jared Goff's going to have a huge bounce back game. And I think Jackson Dart is going to compete. The Giants, he's going to fight, but I think he's going to turn the ball over, once or twice in this game. And that's why I think the Lions are going to win. I think they're going to win big. I got the Lions big here. I think this is going to be this is a brutal spot for the Giants. This is a great matchup for the Lions because the Giants can't stop the run. The Lions run the ball really well. I'm going Lions here. I'm going Lions 35-17 over the Giants. But Justin, can Dart's return provide a spark and help the Giants pull off a huge upset in Detroit?
I don't think so. I got the lines as well, 30-16. I will say, just from more being afar, you guys have turned into the New York Jets. I don't know
Oh
if you
yeah.
agree with
Oh
me
yeah.
on that, but
Yeah.
you guys.
You have to agree at this point. At this point, you have to. I mean, they just can't get anything right since 2013. They haven't really been able to get anything around. Right. I mean, they just they fire Coughlin, they replace him with McAdoo. McAdoo doesn't work out. Then they fire Reese and McAdoo after 2017. They bring in Shermer and Gettleman. They just can't get it. The Giants just can't get anything right. They can't get anything right as an organization. It's crazy. Now, I'll give I'll give Dable credit is finding the franchise quarterback, but everything else is an absolute disaster. I mean, you see that. I mean, yesterday showed you last Sunday showed you why Joe Shane's 2023 draft was an absolute disaster. Deontay Banks was terrible. He's got like a quarterback rating of like almost a perfect quarterback rating when throwing in his direction. You have a perfect quarterback rating. Credit for competing. I'll give him credit for competing. I think that Tyrone Tracy had a good game last week. I think Jameis Winston. I know he could have been picked like 2 or 3 times, but he did what he could. But it's pathetic. It couldn't be more. It just can't be more pathetic with this team. And it's just. And you're right. They have turned into the New York Jets.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. It's got to be very frustrating as a fan, and yeah, because like the Carter stuff, it's like, what does benching him for one series really do? Like that doesn't do what is the point? That's not doing anything, Like, and then the Scadaboo at Monday Night, I did find it funny. He came out in the Matt Rempe jersey though, like
Yeah,
as
I know.
Rempe has that reputation of being
Yeah,
a fighter.
yeah.
But yeah, that can't make you happy that the guy just fractured his ankle a month ago and he's doing that. So that's not great. And my last thing with the Giants too is, do you want Dart to start again this year? He's already been the 10 4 times this year. Like, do you just want him to get healthy for next year? Because like, there's nothing to play for. Like, do you want him to go out there and can you get killed week in and week out? Like, I think you've seen enough where he's shown you he could be a franchise guy.
He's showed enough, but I'd like to see him get more reps. If but he has got to stop these. They got to stop all these design runs. They got to stop all these design runs. He'll run when he needs to run. Let him be a pocket passer. Stop with all these design at this point, especially at this point, because they don't need to do these design runs to put him in more harm, even if it hurts them in terms of winning or losing games. Stop with these design runs. Now that the season is over, let him develop as a pocket passer. Let Dart develop as a pocket passer. Let him do that instead of run all these. No, I'm done with these. No more of these design runs. I mean, run when you have to run, but I want him being a pocket passer. I don't mind him playing, but I want them to focus on him being a pocket passer. That's what I want. That's what I want them to focus on.
No, that's a good idea. Yeah, to make him be more of that guy, and yeah, because he needs to work on that. Because yeah, the design runs, and maybe now that Dable's not there, but again, Cap was going to want to get this job, so he's probably going to try to put in game plans to try to win and try to get that job.
But I think if he's doing all this design run stuff, they're not giving him a job. They don't have no shot. So I think you'll see Dart when he comes back this week being more of a pocket passer.
Okay, then yeah, we'll find a lot more out about him because yeah, he's got to, he can't take off and run as much as they do. They can't do all the design runs, and he does have to learn to not take the hit and get down and protect himself. That's something he needs to learn too, and that's something that Drake May had to learn last year. Jaden Daniels the same thing. So a lot of these young quarterbacks got to kind of learn that side of things, and yeah, that's gonna be big because I was like the way Winston's been playing, could kind of keep you in games. But again, I don't, probably at the point where you just want to get that first or that top pick, but and start to build up with that new coach. And yeah, I don't know why they kept the GM either. That's just I don't know.
And he's reportedly supposed to lead the coaching search. He should be fired. They need to clean house. And again, it's another failed regime. It's another failed regime. It's another failed regime. Gettleman and Shermer. Gettleman regime with Shermer and Judge. That was a failed regime. This is a failed regime. It's just it's another failed regime, and it's poor. It's bad. It's just bad, and they just need to completely clean house. new GM, new head coach, and new GM next year. They do that, and it's an attractive job because Jackson Dart it's an attractive opening. But if they keep Joe Schoen, I don't know how attractive the opening is going to be. I think it'll be a more attractive opening if Joe Schoen is gone.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it would be because again, that GM is going to hire the coach that's going to either want him to be the GM or that coach is going to sit there and say, "Well, are you going to be my GM in 2027?" And Shane, probably gonna tell him yes, but again, he doesn't know that. So, yeah, and that could make a coach be worried that I might have a new boss for me in a year or so. And his job can be on the line because we've seen that a new GM comes in, he gets rid of the coach immediately. So,
Yep.
yeah, like it does hurt the attraction of the job if Joe Shane's still the GM. And didn't the Jets do this before? Or yeah, with when they fired Rex, they kept Tannenbaum too, which that turned out to be a huge mistake.
No. What
Tannenbaum was not.
happened? It was the
Oh,
other
was
way
it
around.
Tannenbaum?
They fired
Okay,
Tannenbaum and they kept Rex.
Okay.
And then they
I
brought
thought the other way
Itzik in, who
around.
was terrible, and they fired Itzik and
Yeah.
Rex after the 2014 season.
Oh yeah. So maybe it turns in, yeah. So it could turn something like that. So but yeah, so the Giants, it's a head scratching move. I get, so his marriage is not around like because I know he's dealing with the cancer. I hope he's doing well and he gets treatment and all that. But like, so is Merritt not? Do you know? Like, is he not really around now? Is that why? Like, he's just gonna lead Shane to?
That could be
You just trust
a
Shane?
reason. That could be a reason why, because of his health issues. Yeah, that could be a reason why. And we got a comment from Frank. I hope that happens in Miami. Get rid of
Mm.
McDaniel. Yeah, they have to clean house. Yeah, that was a win. They won. They did win on Sunday. They've
They
won two
win
in
a
a row,
streak.
but they're on a winning streak. But they have actually a pretty favorable schedule.
It's favorable schedule.
I know the Steelers and Bengals could get tough, but it's time for McDaniel to go as well. It's time for them to clean. They've kind of cleaned house. They got rid of Chris Greer, but I think it's still time for McDaniel to go as well. Not Tua, we'll see, but it's time for McDaniel to go as well. Yeah, Frank is definitely right about that. But going back to the Giants, yeah, they need to clean house. It's obvious that the Giants absolutely need to clean house. They need to. So it's going to be a rough game. I think it's going to be another rough one. It's going to be a rough one in Detroit. I don't think it's a game that's going to be competitive. But I just think it's the perfect matchup for the Lions. And I think they run all over the Giants this week. I got the Lions 35-17. You got the Lions 30-16 over the Giants on Sunday afternoon. Now we got an NFC North matchup in Green Bay. Now let's see what Frank says again. I hope Tua goes also. That's going to be hard, Frank, to get rid of Tua after next year, just because of his dead cap hit. I think they're going to have to keep Tua for at least another year, just because of his dead cap hit. But but you make a good point there. And Tua's been very average this year, so they probably have to move on from. They probably eventually have to move on from him as well. So yeah, things in Miami and New York are not good. Let's just say that. Yeah, my team and Frank's team, things are not going well for either team right now. But we'll move on to an NFC North matchup in Green Bay as the Vikings take on the Packers. And I think this game is close and competitive. But I think it comes down to the quarterback that makes less mistakes, J.J. McCarthy, especially in the first half, the end of the first half last week, made a big mistake, threw a big interception. I think it'll be a close competitive game. I think the Vikings defense keeps them in it, but I think Jordan Love makes less mistakes, throws a couple touchdown passes. And I think Micah Parsons, again, makes the big play at the end. He's the closer in the league. Micah Parsons is the closer. He did it against Arizona. He did it last week in the last play of the game against Jameis Winston. He is the closer. Dallas should not have traded him. So I'm going with the Packers here. I'm going with the Packers 24-17 over the Vikings. But, Justin, can J.J. McCarthy bounce back this week and keep the Vikings season alive?
No, I don't think so. I got the Packers as well, 23-13. Look, I don't know what expected of this Packers team week in and week out, but I expect this defense to play well against J.J. McCarthy, who's not looked good. Justin Jefferson showed a lot of frustration last week, and McCarthy just doesn't look comfortable. The mechanics look off from him, so he just and it's do or die time now for Minnesota if they want any chance to make the playoffs. I don't think they're much of it, but they got to start this week to get one. And Vikings have lost 4 or 5. Jordan Love, I thought, played pretty well, and they let him kind of just go this week. And I thought he played pretty well. I know he did, a couple of drops that weren't his fault, but thought Love played well. I think he played pretty well again against Minnesota. I know Ford is going to try to get after him, but you never know what you're going to expect from this Packers team. But I really don't like the way McCarthy and that offense has looked lately. So I'm going to bank on that Packers team or that defense to get after McCarthy, force a couple turnovers, and help out the offense.
All right, we got the team. Now we move on to the team who is in first place in the NFC North. That's the Chicago Bears right now, first place at 7-3, and they take on the Steelers this week at home. They host the Steelers. It could be a very, very good chance that Mason Rudolph will start, and that's why I think they go to 8-3. If Mason Rudolph starts in this game, I definitely think they go to 8-3. I think Rudolph turns the ball over a couple times. I think Caleb Williams, instead of going, I think he manages the game. They run the ball well with DeAndre Swift, and I'm going with the Bears to win another. I got the Bears winning their fourth in a row. I get the Bears over the Steelers, 23-17. But Justin, can the Steelers get their second straight win and stay on top in the AFC North?
Yeah, I got the Steelers 21-20 in this one. I even feel good if Rudolph plays because I think Rudolph managed the game well enough to win this football game because the Bears during this 8-game streak where they're 7-1, they have 22 takeaways. There's a luck advantage to takeaways. And at some point, turnover luck's going to bounce back the other way. And they've won 5 of these games, or they've won 5 games this year where they've scored past the 2-minute warning. You just can't keep winning that way and succeeding.
Yep.
And I think the Steelers on paper are a bit better than the Bears. And I think if the turnovers are even, and I think Rudolph plays well enough, I think the Steelers are just a little bit better than the Bears. The Bears have been a great story, don't get me wrong, but they could very easily be 3-7. They really could.
Yeah.
So I'll take Mike Tomlin, that defense that's starting to play a little bit better, and I'll take the Steelers to get the win here against the Bears. But one of these weeks, the Bears got to find a way to lose a couple of these games. But only one game against a team over 500 as well.
Yeah, they've beaten one. Yeah, they've won one game against a team over 500. I'm thinking who was that? Who was that team? I kind of think who that team was who they beat that was over 500. I mean,
hold on.
Yeah, but you're saying yeah, but you made a good point about them being 3-7. You made a good point because they very easily could have lost. They should have lost to the Bengals. They very easily could have lost to the Bengals. They could have lost to the Giants. They could have lost to the Commanders. They could have lost to the Raiders, and they could have lost last week. So, I mean, it could be. I mean, they could be like yeah, that's 5 games I counted there. So they could be 2 and But I mean, I know they won. Half those you're usually going to win. So it is a skill. And listen, they've done a good job. Ben Johnson's done a really good job winning the close games. I'll give him credit for that. But the Bears are. I don't think they're as good as their record. But yeah, they've really only beaten one team with a winning record. I'm wondering who was that?
No, I'm wrong. They haven't had one. Their best win's Dallas.
Dallas, yes,
that's
Dallas.
Their best win.
That's their best win. They blew out. That was their one. That was the Felix. That was the one game that they won. That they blew them out, and that was a blowout. So yeah, I mean, Bears. They're playing really well. They won the close game. Give Ben Johnson credit for that. Caleb Williams definitely. You cannot deny it. Caleb Williams improved this year. He's definitely improved under Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's done a really good job in his first year winning those close games. But yeah, I could see the Steelers upsetting them because the Bears have just won so many close games this year.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my bad. They actually have 0, which I guess helps them before. But yeah, I did forget to mention with that. With Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams definitely has looked better this year. Ben Johnson's done a good job with him. You see they're trusting him more and more each week. So I don't want to take that away from the Bears, but yeah, I just think there's something fluky. I just think they're fluky. I think the way the defense is starting to play. I think this is a week where the Steelers get him here because you just can't keep winning games the way they are. And yeah, you mentioned all the situations there where the Bears could have lost, and then in this one, I think everybody's on the Steelers. So I just think Steelers just have a little bit more talent than the Chicago Bears still. And I think if Rudolph protects the football, the Steelers win this game.
Yeah, I agree. The Steelers win if Rudolph protects the ball. No. I disagree. I still think the Bears win, but I think the Steelers have a better chance if Rodgers plays. But we'll see what happens there. Now we got the Ravens hosting the Jets this week in Baltimore. We got the Ravens hosting the Jets. I don't think this is much of a game. Ravens have a chance to be tied in first place. Ravens have a chance to be tied with the Jets, to be tied with the Steelers in first place if the Steelers lose to the Bears, and I think they're going to lose. So I think the Ravens are going to be tied after this week, which is crazy after their 1-5 start. So I think that the run game, I think Derrick Henry is a huge game on the ground. I think it's a huge game on the ground. I think Lamar has a bounce back week this week. I think they force a couple turnovers from Justin Fields. I'm going to go Ravens here. I got the Ravens 34-17 over the Jets, but Justin Fields pull off a huge upset win in Baltimore.
I think they can be close, but at the Ravens 24-16. I think this could be close because Lamar hasn't totally looked 100% since coming back. I think they're going to be able to run the football well, but I also think the Jets are going to run the football. I think they'll have some success, even though the Ravens defense has played a lot better of late. But I think it's going to be a very quick game. Not many possessions where it kind of does say more lower scoring here. So whoever starts at quarterback from the Jets, I don't think they have much success through the air, but I think, their defense kind of keeps them in it here, and I think Lamar plays well enough. But again, he just hasn't looked 100%. So I don't know if I wouldn't be shocked if the Ravens blow him out, but with the short week coming up too, I could see the Ravens just running the football a lot, just getting out there, getting ready for Thursday night.
I think so. Where they play the Bengals on Thanksgiving night. Ravens. The Ravens are in a good spot here right now. Ravens are. I know they struggled a little bit last week, but the Ravens are in a good spot. They got the Jets. They got the Bengals without probably. We'll see if Joe Burrow plays, but it could be the Bengals without Joe Burrow.
They
The
shouldn't
Ravens
play
are in
him.
a really good. The Ravens are in a really good spot right now. I think they win it. I do think the Ravens win this division. I do. I think even though they're a game, they started 1-5 and they're still a game out. I think the Ravens win this division.
Yeah, I'm with you. I That defense has really woken up since that bye week here, and yeah, the Steelers. I don't totally buy them too. I know they pick them this week, but like I still don't love it. And yeah, like the Bengals, they're gonna be 3-8 if they lose to New England this week. I don't think there's any point of Joe Burrow coming back behind that offensive line at all. I think it'd be downright dumb for the Cincinnati to let him go back out there. So yeah, I really like the way Ravens are playing, and yeah, I would take them right now to win the AFC North. I know they haven't gotten it done in January, but the way they're playing, with the way the AFC is, I don't. I as a Patriot fan, I don't want to see Baltimore in January. I really don't. I'd be, I don't want to play them.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. Them or the Chiefs. If they the Patriots win the division, you don't want to see them or the Chiefs in the playoffs. You want to see a team like the
Mhm.
Chargers in the playoffs against
Yeah,
a
the
quarterback who is
Jags.
who's two starting tackles out and hasn't won a playoff game. That's the team you want to see in the postseason. You want to see the Chargers come up to New England in the playoffs. You don't want to see Baltimore. You don't want to see Kansas City coming up to New England. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to see those two. So yeah, I'll take the Chargers. I'd gladly take Jacksonville. Texans a tough matchup with their defense, but yeah, I gladly take the Chargers or the Chargers or Jaguars over in that spot over Baltimore and Lamar Jackson.
You definitely would. You definitely would. Now we will move on to a matchup in Tennessee between the Seahawks and Titans, and I think this is no game. I think Seattle bounces back this week. I think it's a big week from Darnold, from Kenneth Walker, from Jagba, Cam Ward. There was a couple of picks. I think this is the Seahawks win going away. I got the Seahawks 34-10 over the Titans. And Justin, I assume you got the same.
Yeah, I got Seattle 23-6 in this one. I don't know how the Titans really move the ball against this defense. Yeah, it's unbelievable. They're going to get after Cam Ward. You're right. Cam Ward's going to throw a couple of interceptions this one. It could be tough, and they just don't have the weapons either right now for him. And yeah, Sam Darnold bounces back this week. I think they get that rushing game going, and I think Seattle does whatever they want in this one, and they bounce back and they play well against a bad Tennessee team.
Alrighty, we got the Jaguars heading to Arizona to face the Cardinals. I think this game is close and competitive, but even though Marvin Harrison's out, I don't completely trust the Jaguars. I think Jacoby Brissett has a bounce back week this week. I think the Cardinals pull off an upset here. I got the Cardinals 27-24 over the Jags, but Justin, can the Jaguars win again this week and keep that last wild card spot in the AFC?
No, I agree with you here with Arizona. I got them 27-23. I can't figure out either of these two teams, and so I'm just going to take the home team in this one. I think Brissett plays well enough. I think they got a pretty good game against the Jaguars secondary that you can beat them through the air. So I think they do this week. I think Lawrence plays well enough in this one. But Arizona makes a one late stop to win the football game. I'll take the Cardinals to win at home.
Alrighty, NFC South matchup in New Orleans between the Falcons and the Saints. And Falcons, Michael Penix out for the year. Kirk Cousins starting. Drake London won't play this week. I think the Saints win two in a row. I think it's a close competitive game, and I think Tyler Shuck crazy to say, outplays Kirk Cousins, and Cousins turns the ball over a couple times. And I think the Saints win this. I think the Falcons are in big trouble. Are probably going to not win many games the rest of the year with Michael Penix out. Even though they got some talent on offense with Drake London and Bijan Robinson, I think the Falcons are going to win a ton of games with Penix out, and that's why I'm going Saints here. I'm going Saints. I got the Saints beating the Falcons 20-17. And Justin, who you got in this matchup?
I got the Saints as well, 17-13. Yeah, I thought Schultz looked better his last start, and last week the Falcons made Bryce Young look like Tom Brady back there. He was great.
Yeah.
This Falcons team's free falling right now. And without Penix and Kirk Cousins' arm looks shot. He just got nothing left in that arm. I can't believe they gave him $100 million like that.
Oh man.
What a
Yeah.
mistake that was from Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I'm just expecting the Saints. I just don't know how much fight left this Falcons team's had, and would assume Raheem Morris, if this thing continues to go like it's gonna. I wouldn't be shocked if he's out of a job too very soon or at the end of the year.
You think they regret not hiring Bill? You know, the game kind of passed them by a little bit at the end of New England. You think they regret not hiring Bill?
I don't know if it would have worked out much better if they had Bill.
The way things are going for
things
Bill
are going
recently, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if it would have gone much
you
better.
see where he was this weekend, Bill?
Where?
Oh, you didn't see? He was at a co-ed cheerleading competition with his girlfriend performing.
Wow. Oh my god. Wow. You got to be happy he's gone now. You got to be happy he's gone. Vrabel's there. He's gone now.
Yeah.
did an amazing job, but you got to be happy he's gone now.
Yeah, he did. I tried to defend Bill as long as I could, but it's hard to defend him nowadays. It just is. It's hard to keep defending the guy.
It is. It definitely is. All right, we'll wrap up talking about the Panthers and Niners. Really sneaky good Monday night game. This is a really good Monday night game between the Panthers and the Niners. You got the Panthers who are right there. Both these teams right there for that number 7 spot in the NFC. So the Lions are, I think the Panthers are 9. Lions are actually 8. But the Lions will this week. So this game will really be the number 7 seed in the conference because the Lions will win. So they'll move ahead of. They'll be in that. They'll be in the playoffs. So this game will be for that spot. So I think this is a close competitive game. And you said it with Bryce Young. He played really well last week. I think he plays well again this week. But I think this Niners offense looked really good. Really good. And the Panthers defense has improved this year. I'll give them that. But it's still not great. It's improved. I think Brock Purdy is a big game. I think Christian McCaffrey, he's playing his former team. He's a good game against his former team. I think Purdy played really well last week. Continues to play well. And if the Niners had Bosa and Warner, I'd say they're definitely a Super Bowl contender. I just can't this year because of those 2 injuries. I just don't think they could win a Super Bowl without Nick Bosa or Fred Warner. I just don't think they can. But I'm going to go with the Niners here. I'm going to go with the Niners 31-27 over the Panthers. But Justin, can the Panthers pull off the upset on Monday night and get that number 7 seed in the NFC?
No, I got the Niners 2 here. I got them 24-17. CMC going to be its former team. Carolina, I can't figure out. They don't show up against the Saints. They played well last week against Atlanta. They beat the Packers. Like, it's a young team that you just can't figure out, and they're not, but I think, you mentioned it. Brock Purdy looked really good. And Mac Jones played well in his absence, but you can just see there's a difference in the Niners offense with Brock Purdy under center. And I do think they played pretty well. Again, I think that offense is going. They're starting to get healthy on offense here. And I think Young makes some plays in this one, but just not enough. And I do think the Niners win here on Monday night.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Niners win. Yeah, Brock Purdy looked really good last week, and I think that the Panthers, they've been tough to. You even said it. They've been tough to figure out. I mean, 1 week they get crushed in Buffalo, and they pull an upset at Green Bay. Then they they're at home against New Orleans, and they lose to them. And then they turn around and win a big division game in Atlanta, pretty much end Atlanta's season. So Panthers have been very up and down all year for the Panthers. You saw even in New England, they looked terrible in New England. So the Panthers has been very, very up and down all season long, and it should be an interesting Monday night game, but I do think the Niners pull it out. But that's going to wrap up this edition of Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser, but we will be back in about 15 minutes to talk about the third unveiling of the college football rankings and UConn's huge game tonight against Arizona, so make sure you tune in for that.